This is Brian Putt. I'd like to talk to you about consolidating subject matter expert assessments. This is a big topic, and there's lots of ways to do it. Some are easy to do, others very complex. And I'm going to explain a way of doing it which is universal that you can use for any number of subject matter experts that I think gives you a pretty reasonable estimate of the consolidated SME assessments. So I'm assuming that you have some SME assessments that you've done, and they probably have percentiles and values. You may have 3 values, P10, 50, 90, or you may have 10, 12 different assessments from that SME, different percentiles. In any case, whatever you have, you can put those into a Metalog distribution using the generalized Metalog distribution model. And then once you have those equations, you can determine the max of all those mins from these distributions and the min of all the maxes from the distributions. Then we sample between these two mins and maxes, and we calculate the percentile rank from them. So we're getting the percentile for that value that we've sampled. And we calculate the average of those percentiles. And then we're going to utilize that average percentile and the sample between to fit another generalized Metalog. And that becomes our consolidated SME assessment. So what is the bottom line here? Here I'm showing the 3 SME assessments in colored lines. And the process I just described in words is shown as the black line. So let's see how to get to that. Here are the inputs from the subject matter experts, and I've calculated just a 3-term Metalog just to keep it simple, but these could be more complex. And using those 3 Metalogs, I calculate the mins and I calculate the maxes, and I take the maximum of the mins and the minimum of the maxes. And from this range, I can then calculate a value. That's an uncertainty. You can see I'm going between F and E16. Now with that value, I then can calculate the percentiles, percent rank from this value. And then I can calculate the average of those percentiles. Oops, there we go. Average of those percentiles. And from that average percentile and this number here, I can then calculate my Metalog. So this is the Metalog from the common range. And I'm going to sample. I'm going to plot that. And that's where I come back to my influence diagram here, showing the dashed line. So let's think about this from a graphics perspective. Let's say I sampled 100, because 100 is all these curves go between or have a value of 100. So I pick 100 and I get to calculate the percentiles. These 2 subject matter experts both showed it being about 95, just so happened. Whereas this subject matter expert had it about 75. So when we average all those things, it comes out to be, let's call it 88, something like that. And that's what you do for all of these points. I will observe here that our minimum was 53, but the minimum of our consolidated subject matter expert is minus 105. And the maximum was 208 versus what we said was 180 was the minimum of the maximum. But these numbers here are within the ranges of these 3 distributions. But what if your curves had very little overlap? Let's say this blue line was way over here. What does that imply? It may imply that the subject matter experts are making different types of assessments. Maybe they're using different units. If it's a capital assessment, maybe one's including elements for that capital that are not in the other subject matter expert estimates. So I think you need to go back and test that to make sure that everyone's assessing the same thing. There should be a reasonable amount of overlap. So I hope this helps you. Happy to share this Excel file if you're interested. Thank you for watching. Bye.